You. You know, firefighters were not sure what they were going to do when a one-year-old boy had fallen into a storm drain on Sunday. They realized when they got there, none of us fits in that 1-foot opening outside of Atlanta. So they called their tiniest teammate, 4'11", Rosa Toles, who's joining us in studio and who apparently is a fellow viewer of yours every morning, too. She was the one who rescued the baby. So, Rosa, thank you for being here. And thank you for what you did, saving this little baby. You know what the first question I had was, what was the baby doing and how did it fall into the storm drain?
That's still a little unclear because, as you can imagine, when we got there, everything had happened. Yeah. But I think they were maybe seated because most of it was on solid ground. And I think he was just precariously positioned and kind of doodled over. Yeah. To the best of our
So he was kind of sitting on the storm drain cover somehow and fell in and rolled in like 20 feet. So they call you. What do they say to you?
Well, it was dispatched as a one-year-old that had fallen into the storm drain. So we were kind of prepared mentally, you know, when we got there. So we've done confined space rescue a couple of times before. Yeah. So the team, we've been together for a while, so we kind of knew what to expect.
So they knew, they're like, call Rosa.
Well, I was just happened to be on the rescue truck that night.
Yeah. So did you know? Oh my gosh.
We all responded. Yes.
You're like, okay, I'm going to have to go in. Yes. So you're claustrophobic. So what did you have to do to get to reach the baby? Do they lower you in or do you crawl in?
I was lowered in a full body harness attached to ropes. So I was lowered down and then they hoisted me up.
Okay, but you didn't get him on the first try. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we had several plans. The first was to lower a ladder in and bring the baby up the ladder. But with the ladder and myself, the space was too tight. Yeah. And second was to attach a little bitty harness to him. But he was pretty frantic at that point, and we didn't have enough room to get him in the harness adequately. So the next was to get him on my shoulders and then pushed up over my head so that they could grab him from the top of the opening. Okay. So that worked.
And you're claustrophobic. I mean, really, who's not to some point?
Exactly.
How serious is your claustrophobia, and how did that play into this?
It's less serious now, but as a recruit, some of the officers, I told them that. So they would set up the training so that I was blacked out and crawled around a lot in a small space. So it's never comfortable, but I can do it now without panic.
Okay.
So.
Did you think about the claustrophobia, or were you just so intent on this baby?
Intent on the baby, and now having been my third time, it was a little easier. Okay. A lot easier.
Now, if you look at Rosa, she is tiny but strong. You remarked that the baby's a big baby.
Yes, he's you know how a little
chunky, little baby fat.
Yeah, kind of. And he was heavy, and you know, women typically don't have upper body strength. So it was a challenge in the small space, to get him here and then get him like this.
Thank goodness you were able to. When I see that video of that little guy, I'm so grateful that you were there and able to get to him, because I don't know what they would have done.
Great outcome.
Rosa, thank you for what you did. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me so much.
Yeah. And we'll see you tomorrow morning then, too.
Okay.
As she gets up and watches.